Hey everyone, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are back in Jean-Claude Van Damme country as we delve deep into the very bizarre, strange world of buddy cop movies starring people who shouldn't be actors. This time, Dennis Rodman. We have some splits, we have a brief ripoff of The Prisoner, we have Mickey Rourke throwing baby carriages with grenades in them. What else could you want? Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing and reviewing if you have not. And consider joining the Patreon where you get an extra episode every month and an extra mission briefing every other month. Patreon.com/myopia. And thanks.
That's a good way to start off Double Team.
Yeah. Hello, I am Jack Quinn, an American, and I am here to talk about my movie, Double Team, alongside my good buddy, Dennis Rodman. Welcome to Myopia Movies. I am host Nick Hoffman, and we're talking about a regular American named Jack Quaid, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No relation to me, Matt Quinn, about author.
Oh god, that's awful. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about that during the movie because I knew you were gonna be on the panel.
And I am not as good as a martial artist as Jean-Claude Van Damme, playing an American, of course.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. So we're doing another JCVD movie. I don't know why this season we've decided this is the season for Jean-Claude Van Damme, but we've done a bunch of them in the last 2 years.
Kumite.
Including, this is one of, like, I'm sure 1,000 movies named Double Team. This is, God help us, this is a joint picture with him and Dennis Rodman. Did you know Dennis Rodman plays basketball? Because this movie doesn't forget.
So many basketball jokes.
Yeah. Also, Mickey Rourke plays Stavros.
Mickey Rourke with an 8-pack.
Mickey Rourke, this is like in between him in movies regularly and him just juicing for the wrestler, which I like the wrestler, but like this is, I don't know what he's doing, but everything he's making here is a choice, and it's a crazy choice.
He got jacked and learned karate, and he's pretty impressive.
He's a big dude in this. And then who else is in this?
Paul Freeman from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah,
Belloc Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, Belloc is somebody in this movie.
A guy named Gold Smythe. And then a whole bunch of character actors who don't really matter. A whole pile of stuff.
Yeah, I had some problems telling a lot of these people apart from each other. I mean, Stavros versus his minions.
Oh, I mean, or Gold Smythe and the...
I thought Gold Smythe was dead. Like, I thought he was the one who got lasered when Jean-Claude Van Damme escapes.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, and that whole circle of nonsense spies who apparently just survived the game.
God, that should have been the whole movie right there.
I think that was the original plot, and then Jean-Claude Van Damme wanted to like rewrite it.
No, it's not stupid enough for one of my movies. No one goes through time? What are you doing?
But I run around with my shirt off a whole hell of a lot.
Dude, Jean-Claude Van Damme is in great shape in this. Although I guess this is kind of the end of the beginning of Jean-Claude Van Damme's career. This is 97. Oh, yeah. This is on the downward slide. He's working with Hark Sui.
Apparently he's like a big Chinese guy. Like Chinese director.
Yeah, huge in China, and then came to Hollywood where his career was destroyed.
I think this was part of it.
Went right back to China.
I think this is in fact his first American film.
Yep.
And then Jean-Claude Van Damme is also in his second American film, which is Knockoff, I think.
Yep.
Which I have not seen. Have you seen?
Haven't seen it because instead of him teaming up with Dennis Rodman, they actually took a step down and teamed him with Rob Schneider.
Ooh, I am the straight man who'll just kick your ass. Oh, now I went German.
You went full nut. We're getting our Europeans confused in this so far. I will also say it's written by Stephen E. D'Souza, who, if you know action movies, he was great in the 80s. And then as the 90s came, he kind of slowly goes downhill. Though he's written for Jean-Claude Van Damme before on this podcast, having written Street Fighter. He also has done movies including Judge Dredd and Flintstones. So
also featuring Rob Schneider as comic relief to a badass.
Yes, Stephen E. D'Souza will work. with Rob Schneider. That's not the movie we're talking about, but still. Anyway, so we're talking Double Team. This movie is filmed exclusively in Dutch angles, which is weird. Every scene you see Dennis Rodman in, his hair is a different color than literally the next cut. Sometimes in the same scene it changes, in fact.
And there's a line where he's like, "You look like a 10-foot carrot." Oh, now it's Scottish.
You did. In fact, Jean-Claude Van Damme's first line to him is like, "So who does your hair? Siegfried or Roy?" And he's just like, "We are off to the races."
I like that. This movie has so many laugh out loud moments.
Well, it's funny too because if it was, Stallone, who does your hair, Siegfried or Roy? It doesn't have the humor as American Jack Quaid was an American. And by the way, we pick up Belgian kickboxer Jean-Claude Van Damme playing an American CIA agent named Jack Quaid. They pick up Dennis Rodman in Belgium. They go to Antwerp to get him in a sex club. And in fact...
Where there's a chick in a scuba diving outfit in a tank.
Dude, dancing erotically outside of a sentence says, "New peep show." In neon lights, this movie has already left Crazy Town. And by the way, the cold open, speaking of Chinese directors, rips off Face Off, where you have a kid assassinated at a fair.
Yeah.
With Chekhov's tiger. We must not forget Chekhov's tiger.
Yeah, control save on the tiger, because that tiger is coming back to Movie Town, and my God, it's amazing. So I guess this movie literally has a kind of 1980s action movie cold open, where we're in... Is it supposed to be Iraq?
Croatia. They're trying to sell plutonium to Saddam Hussein.
Right. And so we have this great escape truck scene where we see him leap out of the side of the building in a armored truck, presumably filled with the plutonium, and somewhere off in I don't know, NORAD, CIA, wherever, there's a bunch of people watching him taking gambling bets on whether or not he's going to make the rendezvous point in time. That's the start of your movie. Also, just because I'm kind of watching this as we're talking about it, this is a Mandalay Entertainment Productions, and their mascot is also a tiger. So we just have tiger.
But are they great?
First of all, this movie is absolutely great, so I'm going to answer your question here. But yeah, so Jack Quinn escapes with this truck filled with plutonium, I guess. He makes it. Smash cut to the south of France and sex in a pool.
Yeah, because that was his last mission before he retired. Now he and his artist wife are chilling and doing more than chilling.
Yeah, she's pregnant,
pool.
so that means she's not long for this world. Although she makes it out of this movie somehow.
Well, the last 15 minutes they kind of forget her.
She's barely in it to begin with.
This movie forgets a lot of things, though. Let's be clear, because that colony thing that never shows back out. At the end, we see Belloc just shake his head and go, "Son of a bitch," and then he drives off into Movie Town as well. And by the way, this is not before they blow up the Coliseum. Stay the fuck tuned to them blowing up half of downtown Rome.
With only a few anti-personnel mines, you can't do that.
Well, if I recall correctly, he had marked them with tiny little crosses, and Dennis Rodman is like, "I fucking moved your crosses," and then the whole Coliseum, also a tiger, explode. Dude, we could talk the whole hour of just that scene.
That tiger was the curtains in Daniel Tiger's neighborhood's house.
Dude, that assumes there was enough of him to do anything with, because that tiger turns to mist at the end of this. This movie is insane.
I watch movies on the elliptical at the gym. There's 3 elliptical sessions of this movie, and I burst out laughing so many times I probably annoyed the other people at the gym.
See, it's funny. I watched most of this movie, and I had 45 minutes left, half an hour left. And I was like, I don't know when I'll watch it. I threw it on. I just watched the whole thing again. This movie is so much fun. You just get sucked into how stupid it is. Because again, this movie is not even what you think it is. Like you said, the beginning of it, there's this plutonium thing, and then we end up on this colony we haven't talked about. So south of France, they're first basing it in the pool, and then his pervert boss shows up while they're making out in the pool. And he goes, "So Stavros got away the last time, but we're definitely going to get him this time. We just need you for like 36 hours. We promise. And then they're out. Okay? Smash cut to Rome, where the boss is in the car with Stavros, who's played by Mickey Rourke. And then in a scene that I guess you just need, he walks away from the car. Stavros leaves a plastic explosive bomb on the back of the guy's chair, and the guy can't open the doors.
I figured he was panicking.
Have you ever been in a car in your entire life? When you pull the handle, even if it's locked, the driver's side door doesn't open?
Child safety measures from hell.
Not on the driver's side. It's his door. Anyway, so we're there, and he's like, no. And then, again, Mickey Rourke smoking a cigarette, walking away from an explosion.
He does look cool walking away from an explosion.
Mickey Rourke kind of just looks good in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what movie he thinks he's in. It's a much... Well, we're not even to the baby fight yet, but there's a baby fight here in 20 minutes. But Jean-Claude Van Damme tells his wife, it'll only be 36 hours, baby. It's okay. I'll be in there in time for your art show or whatever. And he's also convinced her best sculpture, quote-unquote best sculpture, is a cow when it's a swan. And that lets you know what her art looks like. Rusted swans.
She's an esoteric, abstract medalist.
And pregnant. So you know it's going to go great for her. Smash cut to a woman swimming in a scuba suit at a sex club, and Jean-Claude Van Damme dressed up like, well, he's clearly a CIA agent. He's wearing a black baseball cap, pulled down. He's wearing a black jacket. He's just a cop. I don't know what to tell you.
And then we meet Dennis Rodman.
We're looking for a guy named Yaz, and Yaz is Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is getting a belly button tattoo, and it's a bunch of gay panic jokes for the next 30 seconds. Who does your hair, Siegfried or Roy? That's where we are. Yeah, and then, after going back and forth, the last man who ripped me off ended up with his head up his ass. You don't have to tell me about your sex life. And you're just like, oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Thank you, buddy. It's just great because they try to make them look like equals using weird angles. But Dennis Rodman is also clearly 2.5 feet taller than this man.
That comes up. I think a couple of times they fight each other. That's the only way that Dennis Rodman doesn't just get destroyed by Jean-Claude Van Damme is because you're so much bigger than he is.
Right. So the whole point of this first scene, and by the way, Dennis, considering he's second build, you'd think Dennis Rodman would be more than the first 10 minutes and the last 20 minutes of this movie, but he's gone for 90% of this thing. But he is a weapons dealer named Yaz, and they're outfitting what's going to be a sniping mission to kill Stavros.
They don't want to kill him, they want to tranquilize him and take him alive.
Which we'll learn more about why later. But they have, if this was a movie that knew what it was doing, which it doesn't, which is fine, because this is crazy nonsense, this is the Q scene. He's getting all sorts of fun guns. At one point, Jean-Claude Van Damme picks up what looks like, I believe, a nose stud. And he goes, what is this, one of your piercings? And it's a bomb, and he throws it and blows up half the room. Did you just pull the pin on that shit? That's the movie. That's all it is. And they armed this thing to set up what is going to be a sniping mission, like I said, at an amusement park. Okay. We meet his team. And his team has a sniper lady who's supposed to be the best in Northern Europe, like she's a NATO lady. And he gives her a gun, and she goes, with this gun, I could shoot the dick off a hummingbird.
Do hummingbirds have dicks?
A, and two, she does nothing. All she does is look and die in this movie. She's terrible.
Yeah, the whole assassination, as you imagine, goes pear-shaped, and a lot of people die, and there's machine guns akimbo in a circus.
Yeah,
But a clown gets shot, so it's fine.
Dude, we could talk about this scene forever. The only thing I want to mention in this scene, other than her dick hummingbird line, which is crazy, is there's a dude in the wheelchair in the background for some reason, and just sitting there with like an IV bag. I don't know who made this movie or why, but they thought they were doing something really important.
Yeah, Q is has been under the weather and he's undergoing chemo.
Right. That's what I think we're supposed to get from this. But they have I guess they're still in Antwerp, rather. And there's this amusement park, and I would guess they really filmed in Belgium because all the signs are in French and in Dutch. So, for whatever reason, Heineken's all over the place and some of the stupidest product placement. As you mentioned, there's the tiger, and they're waiting for Stavros to show up. We've kind of seen Stavros. We haven't gotten except for the shot where he's with the cigarette kind of puffing. We don't really know much about him yet.
That's a theme with every character in this movie.
That's true. Other than Jacques.
Yeah.
But like you said, like this scene it's got all you want. There's a bunch of other CIA ops that are like, I'm a clown, I'm a balloon guy, I'm handing out hot dogs. And then what happens here is that Stavros shows up along with a woman. Of course, not before they immediately like, hey, those are two Muslim women. We better follow them the whole time.
I was expecting them to be like dudes. I expected them to be like commandos or terrorists who are men, under those outfits.
That was their assumption too. Turns out they're just regular women who are just trying to enjoy a rainy day at the fair. But then Stavros shows up, and a woman shows up with a child hidden underneath her poncho. And this is where it again becomes face-off.
Yep.
Yeah. So she poops out this kid, and he's like, "Hello, I'm your father," and he gives him a little Pinocchio toy.
Doesn't that fall dramatically to the ground at some point?
Yeah, right outside the baby factory. Which, by the way, you're not supposed to kill him. Just shoot a kid with a tranq dart. I'm sorry. If he's supposed to be this huge terrorist, this lord of war, he's more important. The kid will be fine. It's a tranq dart.
Depending on how much tranq is in it and sizes.
Man, I'm sorry. You get Osama bin Laden, right? That's the point. And by the way, because this kid does actually die because of incompetence here.
Yeah, and I think his mom gets killed by the tiger.
Mom gets killed by... Well, they both get killed by the tiger. They get too close to the tiger cage, and the tiger claws through the mom into the kid's chest, and the kid bleeds out. Right? I think that's what happens here.
Yeah, that tiger is kept in one of those old-fashioned, really sucky for animals cages. No wonder it was in a bad mood.
The one that I don't think exists anymore. Like
an empty concrete block.
Yeah, this is just nonsense. And so the kid is being gets cradled by Mickey Rourke, and then he just can see the ones and zeros in the fucking Matrix and just starts killing every CIA person, which is just nuts. It's great. Everyone dies.
Yeah, and a lot of people die. This is the Antwerp Fair massacre of 1997.
I should also mention the first of 3 Coca-Cola product placements here. The last one is the craziest. We're not there yet. But this first one, a guy carrying too much Coke gets knocked over, and the cans end up on the countertop that Jean-Claude Van Damme's at. And so he slips and roundhouse kicks a guy in the face. Eat your fucking heart out, Chuck Norris. That's the best roundhouse kick I've ever seen. Stavros then starts climbing on rides, shooting at Jean-Claude Van Damme from the top of these rides. People be damned, because he's an evil terrorist type. And he chases him into this hospital. Now, I don't say perfect scene too often, but the fight in this hospital is the greatest thing I've ever seen. It starts, if I recall correctly, with Stavros reaching in and pulling a guy by the coffee cup through the security stand and then breaking into a NICU unit, which is empty except for the babies. I don't think we see a single other doctor.
No.
I don't think we see a single nurse. There's just 50 babies abandoned in this hospital with the lights turned off.
At least there's not a xenomorph.
I mean, there might as well be. You have Mickey Rourke, who looks halfway to a xenomorph anyway. This man is... Yeah. So, we have Jean-Claude Van Damme versus the Predator here. He walks in, and there's a doctor stuck in the elevator door. But what is that he hears? Mickey Rourke, who shoots through the glass, and then, because his wife is pregnant, I guess, he realizes that he's just surrounded by babies.
At least it wasn't Junior.
No. Mickey Rourke starts throwing the baby carriages, literally just sliding baby carriages into Jack Quinn with grenades in the baby carrier. Right? And that's kind of where we are in this
And
story.
That's eventually how he gets taken out.
That's right. So, blood-covered Mickey Rourke his final gambit is like his last grenade, because he's a bomb guy essentially, is to put a grenade in this baby bassinet and roll the baby bassinet at Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme sees the grenade at the last moment, throws it away from the baby carriage. It lands in the elevator with that doctor who's being chopped in half slowly by the elevator doors. And he gets hit with the shrapnel. And that's where he ends up on the island. Like, that's smash cut. And this is literally, like, we've been talking almost in real time. This is the movie. This is only the first 20 minutes of the movie, and we're 20 minutes into the podcast. This is the most absurd. And we have done Face Off, where they take your face off. There's a baby fight. And like I don't know. I'm sure this scene is just on YouTube, but like the baby fight in this, you just see them like sliding baby bassinets at each other, and then there's an explosion, and he's like, "Oh, my back! Oh, thank God, this baby's okay." The baby's mildly nonplussed by this event. Smash cut to him waking up in a bed, and his head is taped in bandages, and now we're on something called The Colony. Matt, explain what it is.
It's like The Prisoner from that TV show from the 70s, only it's updated for the War on Terror.
Also, I believe there was a remake 10 years ago of the show with Ian McKellen and Jesus. Jim Caviezel.
Yeah.
Jim Caviezel.
So it's all this island where spies who are too valuable to kill and too dangerous to let wander around, so they're all sent to the island. It's like a resort you're not allowed to leave, and they're supposed to work as analysts tracking terrorists.
That's right. And
they told his wife he was dead.
I think everyone thinks he's dead, right? Like, he is a non-person anymore. And they want him specifically, I forget what they say, his expertise are like bomb defusal, psychological warfare, yada, yada, yada. But in particular because the head of this colony, Gold Smythe, Paul Freeman, is also someone who was tracking Stavros before he was taken down. And so essentially they all want to try to take down Stavros. Yeah, I mean, and don't get too attached to this because this is like 20 minutes of the movie. We like, this part ends with half the movie left.
Yeah, we spend like a training montage where he works himself to the right level of physical fitness so he can escape.
So he can hold his breath for an entire cigarette's worth, we find out.
And at one point he cuts off his own pad of one of his fingers, which is just squicky.
Yes, which he then attaches to a Rube Gold machine, which also uses a Coke can. That's the second piece of Coke product placement. A pencil and an eraser, like a big eraser, so it makes kind of like the bobbing mechanical bird thing, so it puts his finger so essentially to make sure people don't escape, they're supposed to wear an Omega watch like James Bond does, and they're supposed to have like every now and again it says you have to be in your room in 5 minutes, and then there's a touchpad that they have to put their thumbprint on, right? So after Jean-Claude Van Damme gets reintroduced to all the people he thought were either dead or killed in this, including one like Russian thug who beats the ever-loving shit out of him by the pool, as he's recovering from what I will call a shrapnel concussion, because we don't really know what happened to him, other than now and again they show his back and it's covered in like little like star scars, right?
Shrapnel, probably.
Yeah, it's shrapnel scars, but still.
It's covered in Skarsgårds?
But which one?
He's covered in scalaries. But yeah, essentially, like, to be part of this secret society, they have to help international spy rings figure out what's going on with shit. So we're introduced to this by a passenger jet that gets shot down over the Korea Peninsula somewhere. And the U.S. government is saying that it was North Korea. The North Koreans are denying it. And Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, beautiful minds, the State Department guy, and he's like...
Yeah, there's no actual logic behind it.
It's like 20 90s guys in what looks like Cerebro.
And he goes, this man is lying to us. I can tell by the way he is sweating. And you're just like, no, right? And he, like, they do a weird camera trick, and they're just like, what is that shadow? My goodness, there was another plane there. And it turns out the U.S. blew up their own plane so they could blame the North Koreans. And they're all like, son of a bitch, those Americans. Never mind. And then they move on. And you're just like, whoa, this is another movie. The problem with this movie is don't think you understand the movie. They'll introduce 8 other movie ideas to you. Then we're just going to move on. Because, like, again, you could do this thing that's just about the colony. You could do this thing about, oh, crap, the Americans faked this? Where's the Jack Ryan-esque, like, picture where they're trying to get to the bottom of this?
Well, I think the original plot of this movie was just the colony.
It was.
I am not a number. I am a free man. Or was that trademarked?
You know what? At this point, that TV show with Ian McKellen was 10 years off. You could have just made this a Prisoners movie. It would have been fine. It wouldn't star Jean-Claude Van Damme, though, that's for sure.
Well, in the TV show, I think he does eventually escape the island, so just have Jean-Claude Van Damme kick his way off.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like, that's a thinky think show. He's a punchy punch man. Or a kicky kick man, I guess. And he can do the splits.
Oh, yeah, that man can, like, do like his leg up against his side all the way to his head.
Yeah, check out previous episode Time Cop for the most absurd... I mean, because someone literally sat down that morning with some black coffee and says, today I'm going to write a scene in which Jean-Claude Van Damme has to do a split onto a countertop. And
it's amazing.
And they wrote that scene. And it's... I mean, they don't give Academy Awards for martial arts, but damn it, they should, because that scene is perfect. It's not a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. And it all has to do with that one scene. So, how do they keep people from escaping this island?
Lasers.
Underwater lasers.
There's a laser grid around the island that only goes down for like a minute at a time so that they can get supplies dropped off and take their waste off the island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they apparently don't have a runway. It's all like dropped from a plane and picked up by boats.
And then the waste is taken by like a tail hook kind of trick, where they hook the stuff and they bring it onto the plane. Around this time, the wife who thinks her husband is dead and she's pregnant gets a phone call from Rome, where they're told that she's going to have an art show somewhere in the city of Rome. I forget what. I'm sure it's a real museum that I just couldn't be bothered to remember. But you know, so she's literally grieving the death of her husband, and the woman's like, hey, congratulations, you have an art show. Too stunned to speak, eh? Congratulations. I'd be excited too. We'll send a plane tomorrow. Bye! And meanwhile, the woman is like crying and not saying anything, and everything's just going great for her.
Because guess who's behind the art show?
Wait. I got this. Dennis Rodman. Wait, no. Stavros.
Yes.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, then, I mean, again, we have this thing where, like, this is where we see the plane the first time, and there's, like, a fingerprint nonsense, and he gets there by the skin of his teeth, because every time this happens, he has to get there with, like, 4 seconds left.
And he kicks some guys off the plane, but make sure they have parachutes.
Right. Okay, so, Matt already kind of teed up the scene, but, like, the next 20 minutes of this, or not even 10 minutes of this movie, is him getting back into fighting shape. Eventually, they also figure out, he figures out Stavros has his wife because of some graffiti on a wall by a bombing.
Yeah, Stavros is aware of the colony to some degree, so he sets off a bomb, has graffiti by the bomb, I have your butterfly. His wife has a butterfly tattoo.
Yes, the girl with the butterfly tattoo. And he knows he has, like, I forget what it is, like 10 weeks to prep because she's very pregnant.
Yeah, because there's a wall calendar. I think he's there for about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and he knows that, like, the baby's supposed to be born, whatever, after 2.5 months. So he needs to get back into fighting shape because, like, he's walking with a cane at the beginning, and he realizes he's going to have to... I mean, we know this at the end because he doesn't say anything. He barely speaks for this entire section. But he's going to have to hold his breath. He's going to have to dive off the plane, or off of a cliff, hold his breath, hijack an entire airplane, and fly to south of France, essentially. I guess Belgium, because first he ends up back with Yaz, who's, again, out of this movie for almost an hour somehow. As Matt said, he cuts off his finger. You can kind of, I don't know, like, he finds out that Stavros has his wife thanks to some graffiti, and so he starts a training montage in this apartment where he works on holding his breath while a cigarette burns down, because he needs exactly 1 cigarette's worth of air.
So much smoking in this movie.
1997, baby, you can still do it. He does martial arts by kicking a bucket.
Full of rocks.
Rock bucket, yeah. He works on his fingernail trick by pouring some water into a Coca-Cola can to make sure that the weight gets right so that he can, it'll put his fingerprint, which he cuts off, as you mentioned.
Slices off the tip of his own finger with a scalpel. It is grody.
Yeah. I mean...
Okay, how do they get from him hijacking the plane to back in Antwerp sex dungeon? Because at some point that plane has to land.
I think he just kicks everyone out of the plane. But, okay, so when the day actually comes, they get the thing on the watch that says the plane is coming, and everyone has 2 minutes to do the thing. To hit the thumb pad. He pours water into the can, and then he knows he has 45 seconds to get there. He jumps on top of a cliff, off the wall, through the laser grid because they turn it off for this one moment. He totally thunderballs off one scuba diver, who then gets trapped just in time to get his water or his air tube back to be cut up by the lasers.
And I thought that was Goldsmith, because they keep talking about it. Everyone in this island has a guardian to keep them from escaping, and I thought that was him.
Yeah, Goldsmith comes back later.
So it wasn't.
Yeah, Goldsmith is at one point watching him from a car and kind of... Because the thing that we learn is Goldsmith also hates Stavros, so he kind of wants Jack Quinn to get him, right? I mean, that's kind of what goes on here. But anyway, after killing these people, yada yada yada, Jean-Claude Van Damme gets onto the plane by attaching himself, and again, Tom Cruise, eat your heart out, because this is essentially the same, stunt from number 5, Mission Impossible 5, where he straps to the outside of a plane that's taking off. He pulls himself in, he throws everyone off, including that guy who looks like Judd Apatow, and, takes over the plane, ends up back in Antwerp.
Yeah, and he meets up with Yaz and manages to bluff him by saying he has access to all these CIA bank accounts to help him get some kind of gun, and then he goes back to his house and we find it's full of, I think, are Stavros' men.
Yeah,
so it could be either Stavros' men or guys from the colony who want to kill him for escaping, but either way, it's a trap.
Yeah, so we should talk about this because, we get back to Dennis Rodman right almost at the halfway point of the movie. This movie is 90 minutes long. All that we've talked about, again, is still only the first half. This movie is insane. But, he shows up, and Yaz goes, "We're closed, man." He shoots the lock off. They fall into the sex club, and then they go, "Yeah, we'll figure it all out. I don't have money except for these CIA accounts. You have to help me kill Stavros."
And I think that's when they get in a plane and fly to his house, and they jump out of a contraption. It looks like a giant basketball.
It looks like, and from now on, Dennis Rodman's in this movie for the last half. All it is basketball jokes. At one point, he makes a shot and he calls it a 5-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful, and I'm sorry. This movie is absurd. So Dennis Rodman fits right in. If this was any other movie, it wouldn't make sense. But this is a Nick Cage character done by someone who can't act. He's one of the worst actors I've ever seen.
He seemed fine in this one, but all he does is just act tough.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman can't get a line out.
No.
It's. And he's trying to be funny. There's a scene where he when they go back to the family house, which again is the scene we could talk about for 20 minutes. But Jean-Claude Van Damme looks in the window and there's a nanny with a baby, and then he goes to see the baby, and it's just a bomb. It's a bomb, and he dives out the window in time. He's fine, but then people come out of the cornfield and start shooting him. The nanny has a machine gun.
I think the nanny looked like a dude.
Sure, whatever, a dude in a dress, fine.
She's a man, baby.
And then they do something I've never seen before, which is blow up a pool. I've never seen that on film, but they throw grenades in the pool, and they blow up the pool, and the pool explodes because it's a movie, and it's amazing. But when the pool explodes, the nanny, man or not, she's acting like one of the Stepford wives. She's just a robot. And he's just son of a bitch, I have to kill the nanny. And he shoots the nanny because she's shooting at him. And then she blows up the pool with a grenade, man. I don't know what to tell you. This movie, like, there's Oscars for decent movies, and there's the Razzies for bad movies. There needs to be, like, the Stallones. Like there needs to be action movie awards.
Cannon Award for excellence, and have it like an actual cannon.
Perfect. Little cannons. Because, like, this movie does things I didn't think I needed in a movie, but the baby's fine alone. And then when he sees, like, oh, I will finally see my daughter, it is a Cupid doll that's mostly bomb. And you're just like, okay. And then in the car that they came in is a voice of Stavros saying, I have your wife come to Rome. And you're just like, okay, we have the clue from Carmen Sandiego. I guess the movie's still going to continue. It's awesome.
And they go to Rome, and it turns into, like, every single intelligence agency in the world is there waiting to either get Stavros or get Quinn or get both.
Yeah, and it's like CIA, MI5, NATO, Carbonari, local police. Like, they're just going around. And meanwhile, Dennis Rodman being super subtle at 7'9" with purple hair and a gray suit. You're just like, yeah, no one's going to suspect that guy. But yeah, I mean, at this point, this is when Goldsmith shows back up because he registers himself at a different hotel, right? And he's like, well, we have him, we don't have him, the game is on, yada, 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 yada. I'm trying not to just talk about this entire movie moment by moment.
I mean,
there's an Asian dude with a switchblade in his foot.
Yeah. This is a movie that you need to experience.
And a wedding party gets just murderized.
Dude, and again, we say this sometimes. You've listened to this podcast for 40 minutes. If you have not watched this movie yet, it's on Netflix. I'm sure that they don't care about the rights, and will probably be on Netflix for the next 10 years. Watch it.
And it's actually even more absurd than we're making it out to be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you've seen The Wrestler, you know how big and over-the-top Mickey Rourke can be. Unless he's fighting, his performance is very subdued.
Yeah, he's I don't know if he got the wrong notes for this, but yeah, he's subtle in a movie that is not subtle at all.
And then, like, at one point, like, we just cut to him in his room, and, like, he's getting notes that are, like, Quinn's around or something. And then, in the next room, Quinn's wife goes into labor, and he runs in and picks her up and carries her to the hospital. And, like, there's a car, and then Quinn goes, son of a bitch, that's my wife, and he breaks character.
And Dennis Rodman is like, he wants you to do it, don't! And he just, like, instead just runs through the street, and full-on Belgianing.
And we have to also point out here that Dennis Rodman is wearing a suit with a fedora like he's fucking Humphrey Bogart. And Jean-Claude Van Damme is wearing a fro wig. He has those weird little Lennon glasses, right?
And a nose ring.
And we're just like, what movie is any of this?
At one point he's talking to Goldsmith. I don't remember if Goldsmith is reacting to how he's gone full freak parade.
But, like, and then to Matt's point, this is a crowded scene in the middle of a public square with a fountain. There's a wedding going on. Full-on Apollonia, no. Like, there's a carriage with horses and this woman in a dress, and he goes, it's my wife! And then every agency just opens fire on civilians. There must be 200 people dead.
Like, multiple intelligence agencies just kill each other.
And JCVD sees Mickey Rourke and goes, Stavros, you son of a bitch! And then, like, snipers are there, and the PD and the Carbonara, like, everyone just opens fire on these people, and the woman in the wedding dress gets torn to shit.
And that's amazing. Probably why no one gets arrested, because all the cops have just killed each other.
Everyone is just dead. And it turns out that also even people that weren't pointed out were also secret agents. Like, there's a dude just painting a piazza who pulls out a gun and starts shooting, and there's pigeons around like it's a fucking John Woo movie. It's a 5-minute scene that you could just, if you showed it in a film class, a person who's only seen Fellini will just explode. Like, it's perfect, and it's awful, and it's amazing. And then Jean-Claude Van Damme steals one of the horses from the bridal carriage and rides through the scene while a Carbonari with a cape and a machine gun chases him until one of Goldsmith's men kills the Carbonari. Like, that's what we're talking about.
And I think he gets into the hotel and he chases down the sniper, but then fights the ninja with the switchblade in his foot.
And I mean, that's everything. Everything is happening right now.
And then he figures out where he gets his wife's like pregnancy medicine prescription, and goes down into the basement while all the cops are running up the stairs, and that's how we meet Dennis Rodman's Catholic brothers.
Deep cleansing breath. And again, we have like a fight between a stuntman and JCVD in like Stavros' apartment. That's pretty badass. But you're right. We have to, and this is like you said, the ninja with the switchblade in his foot, like literally in between his toes, not in his shoe, between his fucking toes. But you're right. We have to talk about the fact that there's a bunch of monks who watch the world through the internet that are just buddies with Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman apparently bought them a mainframe computer.
Of course he did.
I'm convinced Dennis Rodman's character is like a lay Catholic brother, because he keeps calling them his brothers.
And that works in a sex club. It's not a perfect.
So pretty in line with Catholics.
That's right.
Nobody's perfect.
That's right. Po buddy's nerfect.
And apparently one of them is looking at porn.
Of course they were.
Internet.
But I mean, like, you are underselling how absurd it is. Like, he's walking through the back streets of Rome. He enters like a church that enters like the like catacombs, and inside the catacombs are just these mainframes and a bunch of monks just at computers. And they like figure out what hospitals and what prescriptions, and they track her to this one hospital that's also completely abandoned. Thanks, socialized medicine.
Yeah, it looks more like a medieval castle or a church than a hospital.
Oh,
but they have like an operating room though.
And by the way, this monk setup, we can't emphasize enough, looks like something out of like Hackers or The Matrix. Like there's just monitors hanging up with wires everywhere with metal scaffolding. Like it's nonsense.
We still use MS-DOS.
There you go.
And Windows 95.
You're breaking into song.
I'm trying to do that Amen thing.
Gregorian chant?
Yeah, they are monks.
They are. Also, I mean, anyway, I think as they end, Dennis Rodman goes, "I'll email you," and you're just like, "Hell yeah, internet." This is also where we get another basketball joke where he like has a grenade that he puts in a basketball and he whips it because we're here.
I thought he put it in someone's skull.
He does. He puts it in his skull, but he does he does a free throw shot with it to get out for some reason.
They have to block the hospital is connected to the rest of the street by a bridge, which is full of Stavros' goons.
Right.
So they go in through the catacombs and blow through a wall.
That's right.
Using a bunch of basketball trick shots and explosives. And somehow no one notices.
No one notices. I mean, I'll just throw it out that, like, he comes across his wife. The wife has given birth at this point. She's happy he's alive.
Stavros ordered the wife and the doctor, who's an Italian woman, to be killed. But the wife shivs the goon with a scalpel. But Stavros is made off with the baby. And they somehow completely forget about the wife and Stavros' doctor, who's flipped on them for the last 20 minutes of the movie.
But now we have to talk about the most perfect scene that has ever been put to film. Now,
Chekhov's tiger.
We have you, as a loyal film viewer and a podcast regular, know that my buddy Jeremy's favorite director is Ridley Scott. And his masterpiece, 2000 masterpiece, Gladiator, takes place in the Coliseum.
And there's also a tiger.
But they were not allowed to actually film in the Coliseum because this movie was made and it was deemed so perfect that no one was ever allowed to film in the Coliseum again. That's true. No one else. This is the last movie ever filmed in the Roman Coliseum. So what is happening here? Well, Mickey Rourke is introduced. He has the baby in a bassinet. He is now shirtless. And he is lined the floor with little metal crosses that mark where landmines are. Number one. Yaz shows up with a motorcycle and steals the baby like he is in, I don't even know what. It's like a Mario Kart scene. As he's weaving through mines, he just grabs the baby and hides it in a nook in the wall.
Yeah, because Stavros wants to do to Jean-Claude Van Damme everything that happened to him. So he's going to kill his wife and he's going to steal his kid.
Right.
And so he's like, you can have your kid back if you can beat the tiger. And he has a tiger. Because, of course, the tiger killed his wife and kid earlier.
That's right. Jean-Claude Van Damme has to kickbox the tiger.
Yeah, he kicks a tiger.
And Dennis Rodman fights a henchman. And if I recall correctly, there's this hole, because it's a Coliseum, nothing connects anymore, it's all falling apart. And so Stavros is shooting him from behind. There's a tiger, and then the tiger, kind of falls. You think it's to its death, but don't worry, that tiger's coming back.
And it eats one of Stavros' minions.
It does, almost immediately, which is great, because I don't know what the budget was for any tiger trainers, but you could totally have told me a guy was mauled to death on the set of this movie.
I think that was a real tiger because I heard somewhere that you turn up the resolution a certain amount, you can see the tiger trainer.
I'm sure, but I mean, again, I don't know, like an '80s John Derek movie. There were just animals around. In Italy, someone could have actually been killed by that tiger, and it would not have surprised me. Anyway, we end up with a final fight between Stavros and Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's knives involved. They throw each other through walls because Mickey Rourke at this point is all HGH and steroids. The dude is huge. Jean-Claude Van Damme is huge. It's a good fight.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme runs out into the floor of the Coliseum, and Mickey Rourke just trips him, and he face plants for 10 feet continuously.
Yeah, and I mean Jean-Claude Van Damme is doing his karate stuff, and Mickey Rourke is just fucking punching him in the face. It's good.
But if you step on a landmine, you can't take your foot off the landmine.
Right. At this point, Dennis Rodman is also shirtless, and that's where we're told that rule. Right. Everyone's shirtless at this point fighting. Goldsmith comes back because he also really wants Stavros just dead. Right. They fucking blow up the tiger. I don't know what else to tell you.
They trick him onto stepping into a landmine. The tiger comes in, and he can't take his foot off without blowing himself up. And then the tiger's about to eat him, so he just takes his foot off anyway. And as you yourself said earlier, the tiger is turned to mist.
I mean, and again, and Mickey Rourke doesn't think he stepped on the mine, but we're told by Dennis Rodman that he's moved some of the crosses so they're not all marked anymore. He looks under his foot, and that's where the landmine is.
I did not expect them to kill Stavros because I figured that was how Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to avoid being sent back to the colony, was he was going to trade them Stavros.
And I should also mention at this point, he's also standing on the little Pinocchio doll that he gives his kid right before his kid is tigered to death, too, because everything is full circle in this movie. And now we have to talk about the third time product placement is used. Because the tiger is going to charge at Mickey Rourke, and like Matt said, he's going to choose to blow up the tiger rather than to be mauled. This sets off 30 landmines or so.
Which blows up the entire Coliseum complex like they'd set off a Moab.
My goodness, Matt, but they would be killed. How could they possibly be protected?
I don't know. It was made right here in Atlanta. What could it be?
There are 4 Coke machines in a row somehow, and they take the blast of the... I mean, and literally, they're all in a row, so as the explosion happens, they start piling up on top of each other, and there's a flame consuming everything except for the Coke machine.
Yes, and these Coke machines are inside the Coliseum. They are not outside the Coliseum. They are inside the Coliseum.
Yeah,
now, I have not been there myself, so I cannot attest to whether or not there are Coke machines inside the Coliseum. If any one of our loyal viewers has been to the Coliseum, please let us know if there are Coke machines inside the Coliseum. Thank you.
But, I mean, we also should mention, it's not just the Coke machine. But, there are cans flying around. Like there's a PA just chucking cans. And, the whole thing is engulfed in flame. And there's nothing left. And at the end, it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's Dennis Rodman.
Don't open your eyes, Goldsmith. Don't open your eyes. And they somehow survive.
And again, it's Rodman, it's Goldsmith, and it's Dennis Rodman, and Goldsmith decides not to shoot him dead.
Well, I figured that was a plan in the first place. He's like, give me a lock of your hair, and a piece of your clothes. Dennis Rodman didn't even need to have a smoke bomb because he was pretty obviously in on it.
Well, and then don't they kill Goldsmith with his coin bomb?
That was a smoke bomb because Goldsmith the smoke bomb lets Jean-Claude Van Damme escape.
Right.
Then Goldsmith just gets in the car and just putters off, and Dennis Rodman is left at the ruined Coliseum. He's like, well, I guess they'll blame this on me.
That's right. I mean, and again, the Goldsmith is kind of just gives them a smile, like, you son of a bitch, and they just drive out of movie town. The whole movie just, literally leaves, and, with Dennis Rodman holding the bag. It's just...
Well, I was wondering if there was an end credit sequence or something. What, you see his wife and Stavros' doctor thumbing rides somewhere?
I mean, we don't even know if the baby's okay because the baby was abandoned in the Coliseum in a crevice.
The baby was with them in the Coke machine blast shield.
So they were running with the bassinet.
Yes. Yeah. The movie forgets that Jean-Claude Van Damme has a wife and Stavros' doctor has turned on them. So there's two women wandering around the Coliseum and no one seems to care.
I mean, again, but I kind of want to say you're thinking about it, don't thinking about it. The movie begs you to figure any of this out because it remembers the baby. Anyway, we're done. Jeremy, would you recommend this?
Is it a good movie? God, no. Would I recommend it? Yes. I mean, as I said before, we're not even doing justice to how absurd this movie is. No. You just got to watch it. It's terrible, but you'll be laughing the whole way. No.
It's not a good movie. It's a great movie. Once. I'm not sure how much rewatch value it has, but again, it's on Netflix, so just watch it once, because I thought this was awesome. Awesomely ridiculous, but awesome.
Yeah, I mean, latter Jean-Claude Van Damme, the early stuff often is, not thinky, but, Time Cop has, weird things going on. Universal Soldier, there's no thinky here. It's just all stupid. It's almost as though, the editor was nah, they're thinking about this one too long, better cut this scene shorter. Because the movie flies, too. It's a tight 90-something minutes. Mm-hmm. You're in and out. Yeah, this is definitely recommend. We need to do more movies like this. This was fun as hell. And the second he's slinging baby bassinets at each other, I'm I've never seen this before. There's so many things in this movie where I'm I've never seen anyone do this. It's insane. Give me more of this. So yeah, I recommend it. Wherever you get this podcast, rate, review it, share it, write in, tell us what you want us to do, because we take suggestions, and then ultimately consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/myopia. And thanks, guys. This was a blast.
Myopia Movies is produced by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. It is hosted by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. Mission Briefing is hosted by John Copsey. Podcasts are edited by Daniel Settis, and Patreon is edited by Nick Hoffman. Our engineer is Nick Hoffman. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.